they have to invest in themselves, but most importantly, also invest in their team.
In their team. I love it.
Because you know what happens with knowledge? Once you have knowledge, no one can take it away.
No one can take it away from you.
I didn't think I would ever do a fucking podcast. I didn't ever imagine doing that. It made me realize that my purpose is to help others reach the goals and reach their full capacity. And if I can impact somebody's life, that is bigger than money. That is bigger than anything else.
Welcome to Livestream. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Plains, with my co-host, Jeremy Applegate. And today we have a special guest out of Long Island, New York, a dear friend of mine, a brother of mine, Dr. Publio Silfa. Welcome, Doc. How you doing today?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you here today. We've been talking about this for already months of having Dr. Silfa on our podcast, so it's amazing to have you here today. You were here for a little bit at the end of the event. What did you think of the show out?
No, I'm proud to be here and support you. I see how you're impacting many doctors' lives and also your team members. So
Thank you.
It's awesome to see that.
Thank you so much. So I don't know if you guys know, but me and Dr. Silfa graduated in the same year out of Columbia University. We had very similar passions in dental school. We wanted to get into the implant market, open up our first practice. We've been able to do that successfully. 10 years later, we're here now collaborating and coming up with ideas. Jeremy was here today. Jeremy, what did you think of the event?
I think that the event was incredible. I think the doctors were very engaged, and they're pretty excited about implants and full arches.
All right. So based on what I saw today, right, there was different markets, in dentistry, and these doctors are what they're trying to accomplish. We had the doctors that are straight out, they just graduated.
Yep.
They're actually about to graduate out of University of Florida.
Yep.
And they were wondering, how do you get started and what should you do? Should you join a DSO or should you do a private practice or join a private group practice? Then we had the doctors that were doing a couple of arches a month but don't know how to scale their business. And then we had the doctors that really don't even know where to begin and what to do and what steps are necessary in order to grow their practices. Is that how you guys felt today as well?
That's a fair description of the opportunities. And I think that they all had something in common. They all want to understand. They want a mentor, in capacity with the implants and the full arches. What do you think, Doc?
Yep, it's exactly what it is. One person cannot grow an implant practice by themselves.
Correct.
So that word mentorship, it's one of my core values. So in order to grow, you have to grow as a team.
Yeah.
And full arch is a full contact
So
sport.
you see what Dr. Silfa just said, core value. A lot of doctors and a lot of individuals don't even know about this core values. So I'm glad you're doing that personal development. He's doing a lot of personal development on himself and what his goals and his big vision are. And Publio and I have spoken about how we've identified our vision, just not a 10-year vision. We've done the 1, the 3, the 5, the 10, the 20-year vision, whether it's personally, professionally, or financially. So I applaud you for that.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's important. And I think that when you start talking about PPF, it intrigued the doctors during that conversation. And it intrigued the doctors to think that, we talked a lot about branding today.
Yes.
They were like, branding? I thought branding was just a logo. Oh, no. Branding is way more than a logo. You know what I mean? So, I really think they all took a lot away from the event. And I know we put a lot of hard work in it. I know Nick and Alexis and Kevin and Teresa and the whole team really did a great job of putting it together. But, I loved the engagement. I loved all the doctors that were here.
Yeah, it was a great turnout. How would you explain to doctors that are about to graduate or on their verge of graduating and or even 1 or 2 years out ahead of their career already? They've already been practicing for a year or two. What would you tell that doctor in order to create a vision that is, glorifying or satisfying for a doctor like that? Like, what would you tell your younger self?
What would I tell my younger self is that definitely look for the opportunities of the style of practice you want to work in.
Okay.
For instance, do not commit to just one practice because then you'll be handcuffed to that location and you won't learn the other styles of practice in dentistry. For example, you could work 2 days in one office, 2 days in another, teach at a school one day, but dedicate one personal day for you too.
Okay.
Because it's that's how burnout happens. You just go through the whole
And you've been
process.
through that because I know I've been through it.
Yeah, no, it's I've grown. I've been practicing for 12 years already, so I've learned what it means to see 30 patients, 40 patients in a day. I know what it is to be an insurance-driven practice where you have to go in and produce in one day what you in order to survive. You know?
I totally understand.
So I've seen the growth within me, but also it happened when I started to invest in
the team or yourself?
In myself first. You know, when I knew what I wanted to do for myself, I was able to help more people.
Gotcha.
I think that
Beautifully said.
new grads, when you're getting involved with trying to find a position or trying to find a job outside, don't go like the money's important, but you need to be asking questions like, what are your values? You know, what are your core values as an office? What are your core values as a group of practices? You know, and what's your mission, vision?
But let's
and
be honest, the
values?
majority of dentists or entrepreneurs in general don't establish, like we didn't establish our core values to 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
I mean, that was 7 years after I started my first
That's
practice.
why we do the podcast, right? Because we want to get these guys ahead of the game. You know, learn
Exactly.
from our mistakes.
Yeah. So the core values are key. Your vision is another one.
Yep.
You know, one of my core values is vision, mentorship.
Okay.
You know, so those I surround myself every time I do something. And the next one is the most one I'm passionate about is purpose.
Purpose.
'Cause
Purpose.
If I don't have purpose in doing
Always
something,
purpose.
Always purpose. AP.
Yeah, that's
you know,
right.
Because without purpose,
Do you have the purpose for personal and different values for personal and professional, or the same for both?
it's like we were talking about branding.
Yep.
You know, I do what I do, or I don't do it at all. So
Okay.
So it's like purpose goes with everything I do.
All right.
So if
See,
I
there you go.
if I decided to come here to this podcast to be with you, I have purpose because I know that my purpose is to impact other lives.
Those younger dentists that were here today.
Yeah.
That's beautifully said.
Yeah. So I'm speaking to them in a way that I wish
Somebody
spoke
had
to me.
told you that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I went to an event last Friday with new grads down in South Florida, and a lot of them didn't have a job yet. And I was really surprised to hear that and see that. And, you know, it was down in Miami, and everybody wanted to work in Miami. And I'm like, you guys realize there's tens of thousands of doctors down here in Miami. How are you going to find a job down here? Well, I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
mean,
interesting.
and then it goes around their circle. Who's in their circle where
Yeah.
they could go shadow and learn something?
Yeah.
And you don't have to jump in on and work in every office, but you could go 1 day or 2 days in an office and learn from that practice and say, you know what? I wish I could work in a practice like this. You know,
Exactly.
I could learn from this and grow.
Yep. Well, you did your city practice. You know, you worked in the city for a while, right?
Yeah.
Then you did, you know, the rural suburb area, you know, and where you decided to be in that market that it's the suburbs.
Yes. Yes. You know, my family started growing. I moved out to the Long Island. So I wanted to create that foundation.
But you continue to invest in yourself. You got certified by the NYU Aesthetic program, which is a very amazing program. That was like a 14 or 16-month program?
Interesting you say that because that program, I applied for it when I was in my 5th year of being an associate.
Okay.
And there was a 2-year waiting list.
2
Wow.
years?
2-year waiting list.
Wow.
When I went to see the event, it was an all-day event, 1 day talking about full mouth rehabilitations. And it planted my seed. And I, as a young associate, very ambitious, went back to the practice thinking that I could do it all by myself. It took me a while until I opened my startup, started hiring team members, implementing systems, growing.
You heard those systems, very important.
And when all the pieces start to line up, that's when everything made sense. You know, that's when that program allowed me to scale. That when I invested in myself. You know, so core values that I believe in were also found in that
period of time.
Yeah. So that's where
You were able to identify your core values, because where do you even start, you know, as a young dentist? How do you even identify your core values? For me, and I said it today, one of my most important core values is transparency.
Yeah.
Because I like being transparent with everyone I meet, because at the end of the day, what is the point of doing fluff or lying to people?
You know, I would say that the mentorship that I receive from the people around me have made me the person and human that I am today. So that has allowed me to give back, and that's where I'm.
Is there any book that you would recommend to a dentist straight out of school that helped you realize certain things in your life that were important to you?
Books for self-development. I started reading a lot of business books.
Okay.
Because in dentistry and dental school, that's one thing they don't teach you.
They don't teach it. We said it today.
We've said it 100 times.
They don't teach you anything about business. So when you get out of dental school, you're the best dentist, but you don't know how to lead a team.
Yep.
So books about leadership. David Goggins is he's a beast.
We like John Maxwell.
We like John Maxwell.
John Maxwell. Closers. Chris Voss talks about the sales process.
Yep.
So
there's two important. I'm glad you said that about the sales process, and I just don't want to lose my train of thought. There's two important things that an entrepreneur needs to understand when he opens up a business or works for somebody. You need to have sales and management experience. If you lack in any of those two, you're setting yourself up for failure, or you got to get additional training to learn how to be in sales and how to manage people.
Alex, you just asked, you said a very word that rubs dentists, doctors the wrong way.
Yep.
Sales in dentistry in the medical field.
It's like a curse word.
It is. But when you understand the meaning behind sales, you understand the reason why you went to dental school, why you invest in going to tuition and paying, $25,000 for a course.
Exactly.
Or you're going to different institutes to learn about dentistry. If not, you become a CE junkie and you never implemented it because
Correct.
you cannot
I love
sell.
how you said that.
CE junkie. I'm going to put that in the books.
I like that.
It's a word, and it's powerful. But the reality is that dentists want to know it all. They want to learn. They care for that growth. For me, defining sales is nothing like the definition of sales is serving.
Yeah.
You're asking. Okay. You're repeating the whole conversation of what is it that
what they're looking to do.
For.
Yep.
Right. But most importantly, the moment I realized what sales was to ask the right questions, but also to listen.
To listening is the most important thing that you can do.
So if you're not listening and then showing empathy at the moment of asking those questions, you won't be able to summarize what that person just told you that they want to buy.
Exactly. And it's not even the people that are consumers, it's also our employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We, a lot of owners don't listen to the voice of the employee. They don't listen to their, what they're looking for. And it might just be, like we always talk about that, and you've also helped me relate that a lot and implement that in my practice. Some people don't want the money. Some people want a day off to spend with their family.
Yeah.
And you very young when I started my practice, Publio helped me and mentored me on systems of bonus incentives that are all not financially driven. Yeah. And it's very important to identify those. And that's why you have a great team that loves you and adores you.
You grow together. I didn't know that at the beginning, and I read some books, and the books taught me things that I started to implement little by little. And for instance, there's this book from Daniel Pink called Drive.
Okay.
And he talks about the factor of the carrot and putting the carrot in front of someone to motivate them to do something. They will be motivated by the carrot, but then after 30 days, that goes down. There's no more motivation towards the money or the carrot or whatever you put in there. So when you have core values and that leader or that team member has the same core values
as you,
they will do it because they know the ultimate result. Yes, everyone likes to be compensated for the work they do.
Yep.
But they have to realize that they are also part of that.
See, but I love how you correlated the core values with who they are, because I can have a one word for you that will sum it all up. It's called alignment. You need to have alignment with your team
100%.
And alignment with your patients. Because if you guys are not aligned and working on the same goals, whether it's the oral health care or the office or how you're going to take care of your patients, or you're aligned as, Plains Dental Arts, you're never going to be in the same plateau. Right, Jeremy? So me and you always love to talk about that, how alignment is so important, because we can drill people in their head over and over and have meetings and meetings and meetings. But if they're not aligned with you and your core values, that's the point that you got to decide, is it okay for us to continue our relationship as employer-employee?
Yeah, so
it goes in one ear and out the other. I mean, and how many times do you need to say it? A lot of people believe you say as many times as necessary, but there's a cutoff.
There is a cutoff.
Because the alignment will never make it to that.
So what's interesting in a wolf pack,
Yeah.
okay, or a team or a group, the weakest link will take themselves out of that pack because they don't follow the core values, or they're not strong enough. For instance, if someone's coming in late to work, someone's calling out sick, someone's always the one to blame for the faults they're making. You know what happens with the entire pack? They push them out.
Push them out.
They don't invite them for the next event. They don't belong. And then you don't have to fire that person. That person will leave on their own.
And I think that's a culture thing too. I think that if somebody's a whiny, cry-ass baby every day, all day, the team will identify that person and do the wolf pack.
Well, I did a promise to myself.
Procedure.
I did a promise to myself that people that come to me with negative energy or being suppressive, I'm just not going to be dealing with them anymore, because they're taking away that good energy. And guys like me, Dr. Silfa, Jeremy, we want positivity. We want an area a work environment that's fun, creative, and productive. We don't need the negativity. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me, Doc, but that's the way I feel, that if you're there at work, you got to have fun while you're doing it.
You have to have fun. If not, it's not. Why, why even do it?
And we got into dentistry because we love serving others. I mean, I see how you do those smile makeovers, and I see how your face gets when you see, how this patient looks at themselves and they haven't been able to smile for years. I mean, some cases they haven't been smiling for 20 years. And I'm talking about beautiful women that, have insecurities with their smiles. And then Dr. Silfa comes and does a smile, makeover, and then you see them smiling and glowing. And I know you glow, and not only externally, but internally too. Yeah. And that's the reason we got into it. And to our patients out there that think we got into dentistry because of money, that is not the reason we got into it. We love what we do. That's why we're humanitarians, and we would love to give back.
And I think that's important, because people don't fully understand, like, why do you want all those headaches? Like, why do you want to have to deal with Jane and Billy fighting every day, or upset patients, or making the payroll, or paying vendors, or fill in the blank, whatever it is to run a business? Why would you want to get involved with that if you don't want to help out people? So I think that's important as well. I think that's what dental students don't identify. Like, they think, oh, I can do dentistry now, so I'm just going to plug into my own office and I'm going to run a schedule and I'm going to go home. And you're like,
it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that ever.
It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So, Doc, if you had, we talked about the dentist straight out of school. You gave them a great explanation, really very detailed. What about the dentist, like me and you, that when we started doing full arches, but we were afraid to continue to invest in ourselves because they're high-ticket items? What would you tell that dentist that is ready to take it to the next level?
When you're ready to take it to the next level, only happens when you're pushing yourself and you're challenging yourself and you're afraid of.
Okay.
If you're not challenging yourself day to day, you're just stagnant.
You get stagnant.
Okay. So, yes, $50,000 investment, a monthly commitment for a program, things like that. Yes, it's part of business. People have to get compensated for what
the time and the energy,
do, right? But you also have to know and be ready what you're going to do with that training and that course to implement it in your practice.
Exactly.
For instance, dentists love toys. They love the pick. They love the scanners.
The CEREC.
The CEREC machine.
They love the CERECs. Just because all those products are out there doesn't mean that I need to have one item.
I love how you just stated that. Yep, 100%.
Yep.
A $100,000 laser, a CEREC machine. Why? It's just going to be another item in the office.
It's going to collect dust in the closet.
Exactly. So when you know to use the tools and maximize on that in your practice, in your style, you'll be able to be profitable because you're not constantly buying tools.
Of course. So that's why, and I'm sorry, Jeremy, I don't want to cut you off, but that's why it's so important, in the live stream weekly calls that we're going to have doctors like Dr. Silfa, Dr. White, mentors, people that have been through the process that can guide you and let you know it's not the right time to make an investment on an $80,000 CT scanner. It's not the right time. Let's get the numbers up to this level, and then we can do that. Yeah. So that's why you know, that's why I'm so passionate about the live stream community, because like I always say, we're going to help you stream your life and not get in these financial burdens that the only ones making the money are the vendors.
Amen.
You know, and the commission check they're going to get. But the moment you get it, how hard is it to implement an iTero system into your office if you don't know how to implement?
Yeah.
It doesn't come with a team instruction guide. You
No.
got to figure that shit out yourself.
Yeah, and then they do the sale and then they leave.
Yeah.
No, but what's interesting is that it doesn't come with the team instruction guide or whatnot, but you asked me, what is it that you recommend that dentist to if they want to do a big purchase item?
Yeah.
You know, they have to invest in themselves, but most importantly, also invest in their team.
And their
Yeah.
team. I love it.
Because you know what happens with knowledge? Once you have knowledge, no one can take it away
No one
from
can
you.
take it away from
Yeah.
you.
So what happens is that person grew. Now that person is a big asset of your practice and could allow you to do the type of dentistry and the
That
work
you want
wanna
to do and offer the patients.
You know, now that person has belonging. Now they belong. Now they're part of something, and now they grow. So it's
agree.
that's the power of knowledge.
And I think that in this description of this dentist that we're talking about right now, I think they get handcuffed a lot. You know, they're the ones that are fact finders, but the facts inundate them so much that they don't know how to process the facts, and then they get stuck.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's an opportunity that Livestream U is going to help everybody, and Implants for All Institute is going to help everybody as well. Is generate this one.
So interesting you said fact finder. There's a book and study called Colby, right? In the
Yeah.
Colby,
Yep.
I'm a fact finder. I am on the top of the radar.
Number one,
So I am I am the opposite of Alex Spence. You know,
he's not a fact finder.
No, he's a quick
He
start.
just goes
Yeah,
for it.
quick start.
So, but you know what's so interesting about knowing that? Your self-awareness.
Yep.
Correct.
When you know where you
Correct.
are weakest, you could auto-correct. So I put myself 3 options when I see that I have to make a decision: 1, 2, and 3, and I would go.
Yep.
And then I'll adjust because, you know, I've had to work and improve on my weaknesses, and that has been the way that
But I love how you're so in tune, and part of the personal development is creating awareness, because if he didn't do the hard work of personal development, he wouldn't know what he has to look for.
That's right.
In a positive and a negative direction in order to correct those negatives into positive. So I applaud you for that.
Yeah, no, it took me a while.
I mean, I would guess that the dentist, generally speaking, dentists don't do Colby, or they don't do disc, or they don't do any of these kind of.
And then they can identify with their team either.
It actually saved my marriage too.
Well,
Yeah, because my wife is a fact finder as well. So imagine 2 fact finders trying to buy a house.
oh my Lanta.
You know, now I understand why it took a year to buy a house.
I was going to say 14 months.
You know, so it saved my marriage, but because I now knew what battles to pick.
Yeah.
I knew that she needed to go through a process to identify how she makes the buying decisions. You know, my team members have done Kobe, and I could evaluate them and understand where they are, why they're not making a decision, why they need structure, why they need to go in and play with the model. My assistants, they have to play with
Touch
everything.
it.
You know, they touch it, they break it. That's how they learn. You know, and I have my call lead coordinator. She's a follow through. You give them a system, she's like, gets them all lined up. You know, she's that person. So understanding that self-development, growing within that allows that young practitioner to like 10x their growth every year and become the entrepreneur that they want to become.
I 1,000,000% agree with that, because I think that a lot of these tests, the good ones, can help you also identify your teammates and your team members, but also with the capacity of that, they identify you and how you think and how you can communicate with them better.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a missing piece of it as well. You know, doctors get frustrated because their team doesn't know what the hell they're, you don't know what I'm talking about? What are you talking about? You know, that kind of stuff. And I think that's important. Colby and disc and all those other.
It's extremely important. We do the disc. We've done the Kobe.
Yeah, we done
And then we've done the disc. You know, I'm a high driver, normal. And then when I'm in stress mode, I go into an S, which is kind of a stabilizer. But normal performance, I'm a D and an I. So I'm a driver influencer.
And I'm the opposite.
And Jeremy's the opposite.
So I drove him batshit crazy because he wanted me to get to the point, and I was trying to explain everything, and then I had to figure out how to communicate with him, as an I communicating with a D, and that's important, that's valuable, to the success of the organization.
It's extremely important. So basically, for doctors that want to invest in themselves, you're basically saying go for it, but also put time into your personal development, routines, right? To discipline.
Routines, consistency.
Consistency.
It's, working out every morning, 4 or 5 days a week. You have to dedicate that to your health. Dentistry is a tough profession on our body.
It is.
I suffer from back pain.
I suffer shoulder now too.
So you don't take care of yourself, you're going to pay the price. You won't practice for a long time.
So what would you tell a doctor right now that is, made a 6-figure salary and he wants to go buy himself a sports car? Would you tell him to buy the sports car or invest in that implant course?
You know what? As we're talking, we do have to find a way to justify our good vices.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. If you're busting your ass off, if you're working hard, you want that car, go get it. But know that the car is not going to pay for the implant course.
Of course.
So the implant course will pay for that car.
That's what I say.
Amen.
That's what I say.
Amen.
See, my first time that I made $20,000, I went ahead and I bought my first single implant training course. And I think you did the same, Doc. You went ahead and I'm going to learn implants. I'm going to go do training because knowing that doing implants, you'll be able to buy 5 cars in the next 3 to 5 years if you wanted to.
As an associate, I took the course. We went to Guadalajara with Dr. Virgil Mangalo.
Yep.
And that course, I placed 30 implants in my first week.
Amazing.
I came back, and in that year...
Immediately implemented it.
Immediately. I didn't stop. Sometimes you cool down. If you cool down, you don't continue to place, become a CE junkie.
CE junkie.
So what ends up happening is that my growth went for 40% the next year.
Unbelievable. And we were just saying that today. I mean, we're talking about a 40% increase in your income.
Yeah, and that's single unit implants. I wasn't even doing 4-arch then. The 4-arch game tremendously changed my life.
And your work-life balance got a lot better, right, Doc?
Yeah.
He's able to travel. He's a speaker. He gives lectures all around the world. I mean, he wouldn't be able to do that if he was just doing GP all the time.
Yeah, no. So the FMR practice, full mouth rehabilitation, and the style of dentistry that I prefer to play.
Awesome.
That's what I do.
How many more dentists do dentists need to hear that before they jump in and do it? I mean, seriously. Like, we preached to these guys today, and I'm not being disrespectful, but we preached to them. He shared his story. We've shared stories with other partners that we have. You just talked about it. Like,
so I can tell you what the doctor's going to do right now, and I'm sorry, Doc. Maybe you can collaborate with me. More than likely, now they're going to get home. They're going to jump on a computer, and they're going to start looking for other implant courses that are available, and they're going to look at the pricing, right? And then they're going to identify which one makes more sense for them. That's really what they're going to do. So I was talking to Nick about that last weekend over a cigar, and we were talking about Nick was not aware that the majority, well, Nick knew, Chris didn't know that the majority of doctors were fact finders.
Yeah, 95% are fact finders.
Yeah. So they're not like us that are willing to write the check and just move forward with it.
Yeah,
I have a question for you. I have a question for you now that you told me, because, see, you're a fact finder, I'm a quick start. So at what point did you learn how to break that and go from a fact finder to a quick start when it made sense?
So a fact finder is only a fact finder in the areas that they don't know.
Okay.
In the unknown.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So if I don't know something, let's say law, I am going to go Google, talk to 3 lawyers, interview them, get ideas, and I might stay in that cycle. But as a fact finder, you tell me to go do a crown, I'm going to go do the crown in 2 minutes because it's what I know.
Yeah.
So when the dentist doesn't know what they're trying to make a decision on, that's when they
go for it.
Fact finder
That's
mode.
interesting.
Good.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you another question, but we're running out of time. But I want to ask you this, and I want the viewers and the people that are unaware in the audience out there that don't know what to do with their lives. They're Hispanic, just like me and Dr. Silfa, have no real, parents with a lot of money. This guy right here is a prime example of what you can accomplish if you put your mind to it. Dr. Silfa is from Dominican Republic, born and raised, right, Doc?
Yep.
So do you mind telling them in a 2-minute skit how you made it happen and how you believed in yourself to make your dream a reality? So
I'm going to tell this. I'm choking up because...
Yeah, that's good, man. Raw and uncut.
It's the struggles that no one sees. Everyone sees, oh, he's the hot shot now, but I came to this country with $53 in my pocket.
Amazing.
So it was January 1st 2004. And I was greeted by my uncle, and we went to his house. I stayed there. And on January 5th, I had a working interview. January 7th was my birthday.
Amazing.
I was immediately working on my birthday, January 7th. So I started studying for the boards. I couldn't apply for the dental school because I was still dealing with other things. You know, I got married young. So whatever I did, I was persistent. I was consistent. I never gave up. You know, so I knew that my ultimate goal was to become a dentist in the United States. What happened with me throughout those years is that my purpose was constant. I never gave up on it.
You never gave up.
I had a reason to do so, you know, and impact other people. You know, I remember I got into the program of Columbia in 2009, and I remember having a good friend of ours call me and put me in contact with you. And, hey, I have a friend I want you to meet. Like, sure, put him in. And it was Alex Plant, you know, so.
I was in an interview in Ohio, and Dr. Ragoon Bill, he got us in a phone call. We were at a barbecue. That's the first time I met Dr. Silfa. It was amazing. And we went over there, but I'll let you continue your story.
Yeah, no. And in that moment, we connected, and I said, sure, you want to come into the program, come in and interview and meet us? Sure. You know, and the rest is history.
Yep.
So
now you have a beautiful family.
Yeah, no, family. I'm blessed. You know, I'm blessed. It's been a struggle.
And you know what's amazing is, and you didn't say one of the best parts of the story. While he was in dental school in Dominican Republic as well, he worked. Apart from being a dental student, which is hard enough, he worked as well to pay for his school and his food and his education and everything that came with it. Right in a rental store, right?
We had a family business, Blockbuster style. Yeah. You know. Video store. You know,
so basically, you're the prime example that whatever you put your mind to and you're disciplined and consistent could become a reality.
Yeah.
And you haven't stopped ever since.
No. Always striving to be better.
Exactly.
You know,
Well, I think
Mamba mentality.
Yeah, Mamba
mentality. I think the struggle also is, you know, people think that this shit's easy.
No.
Like it's a grind. And the hard stuff is the most rewarding stuff. You know what I mean? Going through that life experience impacted you. It'll impact you forever.
It took me 9 years to get into the program and get accepted.
Yeah.
I could have easily gone in to sell Porsches and cars, you know, and do a different area.
Yep.
But I was consistent.
Yes, sir.
And now the fruit of that I have a 16-year-old daughter, and she wants to become a dentist.
Yep.
And I have 3 beautiful kids that are looking up to her. You know?
Yep.
So,
amen, brother.
Beautiful.
Amen.
Yep.
So you guys that are out there that are about to give up, that don't want to take the boards, or even if you're not in dentistry and you're afraid to take that leap of faith and open up your own store, open up your own business, you know, me and Dr. Silfa and Jeremy are prime examples of whatever you want to accomplish, you can accomplish.
Amen.
And with that, I'll check out. Thank you, Dr. Silfa. You can follow him at Dr. Publio Silfa, Dr. Alex A. Plains. See you soon.